Hello everybody, my name's Paul Tace. In this video we're going to be looking at getting some average footage and making it look awesome. To do this I'm going to start off with this piece of footage here and make it look like this. Okay guys, so we are going to be doing this in Premiere Pro today. You can do this obviously in any software. This is just the one that I'm choosing at this particular time. So the first thing I'm going to do is have a quick look at our 4K footage here, and this is shot at 24 frames per second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new timeline by clicking on this icon down the bottom here, going to sequence, and then selecting ARRI 1080p at 24 frames per second. Now you'll notice I haven't chosen 4K footage. This is because I want the ability to zoom in and zoom out without losing quality. So I'm going to press OK. And then, and just in case that didn't make any sense, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my footage onto that timeline now. I'm going to press Keep Existing Settings, and we'll see now if I play through that we're zoomed in quite a bit. And I say this is as far as we can zoom in without losing quality. So what I'm going to do now is go to Effect Controls and go to Scale and change the scale to 50%. And now our footage is going to fit perfectly in our timeline. So let's go back to the beginning, and we now have this. Now the first thing I want to do is actually add in a zoom effect. You would have seen me do this before. It's one of my favorite effects to do. I'm going to go to the beginning of the footage, go to Scale and Position and hit the keyframes, and then I'm going to go to the end, and I'm going to change the scale to 100%. And I'm going to move the position so it's zoomed in on the mosque. And now if we play this through, we get this. It just makes it look a bit more dynamic. Now the next thing I see when I'm going through this is that it looks a bit flat, and I don't really like the colours, so I'm going to have a quick go at colour grading. So what I'm going to do now is go into Colour, and what I'm going to do is go into the colour correction, and I'm maybe going to boost up the highlights a tiny amount. I'm going to drop the shadows a little bit, and I'm going to drop the blacks a little bit, say to about there. And this is just giving us a little more contrast. If you want, you can put a bit of contrast in there as well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Creative. Whatever you do, don't overdo the contrast. It can look really amateur if you do that. The next thing I'm going to do is click on Creative, and in here I'm going to go to the shadow tints and turn it into blue. And now as we go through, we get a nice little purple flare. So what I'm going to do for the highlights is actually give them a bit of a purple tint. So I'm going to go here and drag this over there. So now we have this. And that's looking better already. Now, something I will mention is that it's playing back very slowly, and this is just because we're editing 4K footage. So what I'm going to do is just drop the resolution down to a quarter here. And there we go. It's not as good quality now, but we can see it running a lot smoother. Now visually, I'm fairly happy with that. Now something you can do, which can make it look more cinematic, is drop in some cinematic bars, like the widescreen bars. Now I've got a PNG here, and I can drop a link to it in the description down below. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this in over my footage. Now when I drop it in, as soon as I do this you won't be able to see it, and that's because it's a 4K image. So what I'm going to do is go into Effects Controls and change this down to 50%. And now we have the bars over our footage. Now actually, I don't want the top of the mosque to be cut off here. So what I'm going to do is change the position of the footage. Now rather than go in and mess around with the keyframes, which is something I don't really want to do because they're already set up, what I'm going to do is right click on the footage and go to Nest. And then from in here, and then from here, I can now change the position over all the keyframes in one go using the nest. So if that doesn't make sense, don't worry, you can just skip this part. You might not even need to know it. But I'm just going to quickly show you how to do that now. So I'm going to bring this down to there. Now visually, I'm very happy with this. But obviously now we need to start thinking about the sound. Now what I've done is I've gone into YouTube Audio Library and I've got my favourite piece of music, which is Flight to Tunisia. And I'm going to drop this down here. And now we have this. And now we have this. And I'm quite happy with that. Now something else I really love to add to drone footage is also sound effects. So where we come through and we get this piece of glare, what I'm going to do is get a whoosh sound, which is going to be this one. And I'm going to drop the peak where it goes purple. So let's zoom in a bit. So I'm going to find on screen where it's most purple, which is just about here, and I'm going to line this up with the peak of the sound effect. So now we have this. Now I think that's a bit too loud and it draws too much attention to the flare, so I'm just going to drop that down a little bit. Now I think that's much better. And now that's this clip finished. So again, one last time, I'm going to show you what we started off with and what we ended with. So we started off with this fairly flat and average piece of footage. We've added some sound effects and music and some post-editing, and we've come up with this. Now I hope you agree that the second one's a lot better, and I also want to point out at this stage that I have been practicing doing this quickly. It's taken me less than 10 minutes to edit this footage, but I have been playing around with different settings before doing this to make sure I knew what I wanted to do. So if you do try editing your own footage and you don't get exactly what you want straight away, don't be disheartened. It does take time. Have some fun, play around, and hopefully you'll get some amazing footage. Now I really wanted to make this video because I feel there's a lot of people out there that's going to have some great footage but don't realise it because they haven't edited it to their full potential. Okay guys, I hope you found this video useful. If you have done, hitting that like button is a huge help to me as a creator, and subscribing is a bigger help still. That's it for this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.